Sit back and relax while you listen to Train Kickers podcast. I'm Dave, and along with my co-hosts Stan and Steve, we're going to take you all around the world of miniature wargaming. On tonight, we're going to go through the next part for Soul Auxilia. In particular, we're going to be doing the heavies out of the main book itself. We had to split the heavies before because there was 4 entries in Legacies. There's 10 entries here, although some have some repetition, but we figured all of that just might be a little bit more than we wanted to record at once. Plus, the fast attack was a little bit shorter, so it kind of gets some reasonable length episodes out. Yeah. Otherwise, I don't think there's actually anything else I'll say up here at the top. We'll have some announcements and all at the end, but I think I'll save that till then. So now, on to the show. All right, gentlemen, it has been 2 days since we did fast and disappointing heavies, and I'm ready to be hurt again in 2 days. So let's see how this goes. It's going to be better, right?
No, it is.
Well,
it is. Well,
yes.
I don't like the way both of you said that. You both were really assured of it, and then you really stopped.
There are some
the traditional options are less viable than they were,
Okay.
but the other options are kind of great.
All right, that's fine. Hey, you only get 3 heavy support slots, so if it's all great, I would struggle to make choices. If some are a little better than others, or feel a little better, or fit my theme better, that's absolutely fine. All right, so as we said, we are going through the heavy supports from the book itself. We're breaking this up mostly through our talking. If it's a tercio, we're just going to kind of talk about the whole thing in general. And Steve wanted to start out by going through the Leman Russ groupings.
Yup, the classic Leman Russ.
Mm-hmm.
One of the backbones of the Imperium's arsenal since forever and until forever. So, the Auxilia Armored Tercio, it's a heavy support choice, but if you happen to be running the right cohort doctrine, you can take... Well, I'll get a little more into it when we get to the actual relevant unit. The Armored Tercio is, like other tercios, is composed of 3 units. 1 to 3 of those units are either Leman Russ Strike Squadrons or Leman Russ Assault Squadrons, difference being the turret options and the ability to outflank. And then up to 1 of your units may be a Armored Command section, which is your Command Tank Leman Russ. The Command Tank Leman Russ also shows up in that Legacies Armored Tercio, the other version of it. That one, however, doesn't have the ability to troops, so let's get into it. I guess I'll start with the Strike Squadron. The Strike Squadron specifically can be taken as a troops choice. The way they go about it is they say you take an Armored Tercio composed of 1 unit, and that unit must be the Strike Squadron. I don't know why they just said you could take Strike Squadrons, but it's Games Workshop. They write things weird sometimes. So, the Soul Auxilia Leman Russ Strike Squadron. For 150 points on your first tank and 135 per additional tank, you get a Movement 12, Ballistic Skill 3, Front 14, Side 13, Rear 10 vehicle with 4 hull points. Not that shabby. You get a hull-mounted heavy bolter, you get a turret-mounted battle cannon, searchlight, smoke launchers. It's a vehicle with no subtypes. It has a tercio special rule. As mentioned previously, this means you can actually share orders that allow you to move or fire weapons. This would be interception, return fire, and all that. But remember that any shooting attacks has to be done with defensive weapons, which will either be pintle-mounted weapons or weapons with a strength of 6 or lower. And you get to outflank with this one, which is kind of neat. We'll go into the profiles in a moment, but your options for what the turrets are is the stock battle cannon. You could trade that out for a Gravis las cannon for 2 shots. The book says it's 2.
It says 2 turret.
No. That is an error. They clarified in the FAQ. Yep. I was just about to say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm much less excited. So it's 1 Gravis las. I mean, it's a 2 shot.
So it's 2 las cannon shots, not 4 las cannon shots.
Okay. I knew you were going to make. I knew that was going to happen
because that's what they say in the book. Oh my god.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
Well, the book lies.
It does.
It makes it more confusing. The next option is 2 turret-mounted Gravis autocannons.
Is that actually 2?
That's actually 2.
Oh, for the god.
For whatever reason, they decided that 2 barrels on a Dreadnought is 1 Gravis autocannon, but 2 barrels on a Leman Russ is 2 auto. I don't know how they figured that out, but they did. It is what it is. And finally, you have the option of the Vanquisher Battle Cannon with a coaxial mounted autocannon for 5 extra points. whoa, big spender. Of the 4 options, I think the Vanquisher is probably the one you're best going off with. And let's get into the stats on those real fast, I think. And
Okay.
HK and how's those pulled up already? He's usually good for that.
So I have for the battle cannon at least pulled up, so we can start with that.
Okay.
48-inch range, strength 8, AP4. The AP4 is a... Oh, that's... Because I remember back when this thing was in like 5th edition and all, the one guy I played Imperial Guard, and it was AP3. So it's 8, strength 8, AP4, heavy 1, 3-inch blast, pinning. I also... Was it a small blast back then? I thought it was a large blast.
It was a large blast.
It was a large blast.
Okay, so it's worse in every way. Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pinning now. Yay.
Yeah.
Pinning. It's another gun that used to be good at killing Marines, but they said, we want our Space Marines to live longer, so they made it good against Solar Auxilia, and didn't account for the fact in the Auxilia that everything kills them specifically and not Marines.
Especially, I mean, even if they let it still be a large blast, I think there's some play in it, even versus Marines, because hey, at least you're doubling people out. So if they got, and I'm denying you're feeling no pains, like I might not be getting through your armor, but I can do something. But in a small blast, I'm not really hitting many.
Nope, you are not.
All right, Vanquisher battle cannon. That's on the same exact page. So I have that one. That's 72 inches, strength 9, AP 2. It's a heavy 2, sunder, and brutal 2.
That feels a bit better, right?
That feels like a las cannon with brutal 2.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. So
isn't that so much better?
Yeah. So why would I take the las cannon? It's shorter range, and it's not brutal.
You don't. That's the point. You
okay.
Don't. It's so sad.
All right. Okay. So then,
of the options, you no doubt you're taking the Vanquisher.
Yeah. Because
and lets you fight dreadnoughts. Because it has the brutal 2, which helps so much.
Yeah. The gratis auto cannon, just to cover that briefly. 48-inch range, strength 7, AP4, heavy 3, rending on a 6, and twin linked. Getting 2 of those, you're getting a good amount of shots. Then you're at 6 shots and all. But I think there's some other spots we talked the other day where you're going to get some auto cannons and all. I think this kind of needs to carry your big heavy gun. Why it should be 2 Gravis las cannons? That's a trade-off then, if you actually had 2. Because, I get more shots, but I'm not brutal, so it's better versus certain things, but not others. Yeah, take the Vanquisher. Actually, not even the normal battle cannon's not nearly as good. I would just take the Vanquisher every day.
Every time.
Yeah, it's much, much nicer. If you want an extra las cannon, hull-mounted las cannon, 10 points extra. There you go. Now you essentially have 3 shots. The one's not brutal, but that's actually really good.
Don't forget, as a coaxial autocannon.
True.
For those who don't run coaxial weapons very often, I just pulled out my book because I thought about this ahead of time, and I looked it up.
I told you this one.
So, coaxial mounted weapons follow all rules for turret-mounted weapons. They're mounted alongside other turret-mounted weapons. When they're fired, when the turret-mounted weapon is fired, if the coaxial weapon scores at least 1 hit on the target, then all further attacks by weapons mounted on the same turret, directed at the same target, may reroll failed rolls to hit.
Yep. So you always fire your coaxial first.
Yep.
You should hopefully get 1 hit. About 75% of the time, you'll get at least 1 hit. And now your Vanquisher is twin linked.
Yeah.
Which is nice. Really useful for the fact that you're on Bliss's Skill 3, which is something to always keep in mind with all of this. So how do we feel about just the Leman Russ in general? Or do we like it?
Let's just start there. Stat line is pretty classic. It's got the extra hull point, which is a shift you'll see among a lot of the battle tanks this edition compared to previous editions. Being able to outflank is cool. I don't know if I would necessarily go for that option, because as something that does not fly, it kind of has an issue of being able to get just blocked off the table.
I mean, I'm looking at it.
The stats are not weak.
No, the stats are really good.
The weapons are where it leaves a little to be desired.
I mean, but to me, at least looking at this one, we're going to talk about the other ones in a moment, but looking at this one, you can take it by itself, but I like at least a Squadron of 2. I would probably give it the Vanquisher Battle Cannon. I would probably give them both hull-mounted last cannons for extra 20 points on that squad.
Oh,
so
yeah, we haven't even talked about that yet.
No.
So all the following is common to all the Leman Russ variants we're going to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
On the hull mount, you have the Heavy Bolter. We can switch out for an autocannon for free. Probably, worth doing. A multi-laser for free, a Heavy Flamer for free, or a las cannon for 10 points.
It's not bad. 10 points for las cannon.
That's really
it's not
cheap.
terrible. Not terrible.
Really cheap.
I would go with the autocannon maybe, just to get more dice on the table, though. Because 10 points on a 50-50 shotgun, when it's your only way to do stuff, you do it. But when you have other options, which this army does in a couple places, it's a little more dicey.
Yes, but from what we've seen before, and we're going to get through some more things today, of course, but what I've seen before is like, don't get me wrong, autocannons are good, but what I feel this army struggles with is long range, very high power.
Oh, definitely.
And I like a Strength 9 AP2 to either potentially punch through other tanks, or firing it into 2-up save models to start taking some of those guys down. The autocannon is good, but they feel like they have a lot of autocannon options. I haven't seen a lot of what I feel is decent, very high strength options that I feel will actually live.
Getting into gaming the system a little bit. Whatever you do, just get rid of the Heavy Bolter. Because Heavy Bolters are defensive. If you take a weapon destroyed result, that's a guarantee your turret's wrecked. So switch out the Heavy Bolter for anything that's at least Strength 7. So that's going to be your autocannon or your last cannon. However, if you are going to, keep the lightweight Heavy Bolter or the multi-laser option, then you might as well just add a multi-laser on the turret and be ready to use this as an impromptu Skyfire option by just rolling lots of dice.
Yeah.
Because Tercios, yay. There is an argument for loading up on defensive weapons because of the Tercio rules. Being able to share the return fire might make it worthwhile. Maybe.
So, normally I agree with you, and I agree with that for most of these Tercios. My problem here is that when you're Leman Russ, for what's going to be firing at you, and you wanting to be a defensive weapon, if it's not like a squad of last cannon guys, I probably don't care about your Heavy Bolter shooting, because it's like, my big heavy tank firing at you, you're not going to hurt me. Or, I since you can't fire the main gun with this, you can only fire the much smaller weapons. If I'm just shooting at you with something big enough, it won't matter. And if I'm trying to get through armor 14, it's going to probably be big, like I said, unless it's like a last cannon squad or maybe a multi-melta squad if they get close. But I'm okay. Fire me with Heavy Bolters. If I'm shooting you, you're probably going to explode, and I'll lose maybe a guy, maybe two. That's a trade every day I'll take.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But I don't know. I do like the outflank. I think that's actually good.
I don't know. It's a rule that I've not sold on at all, just because of how telegraphed an outflank is relative to the other reserve options.
True.
It's extremely telegraphed, and I don't know if you get enough payoff for the telegraph.
I guess you would have to do it where your goal isn't to be like in their backfield. Your goal is to be just in a reasonable spot on the side. Yeah, there's a reasonable spot on the side. Oh, yeah. I'm off the table to start with because maybe you have scary things, and then I have some ability to come in later and maybe get side shots, or you turn to show your front facing to where I am, and my other army gets side shots. But I agree it's iffy, and I wouldn't do it with a big squad because I would be worried about getting blocked out.
Mm-hmm. No, it definitely makes sense. Like I mentioned, this unit can be taken as a troops choice in that certain I keep linking cohort doctrine. I mean, it's not like there's that much thinking to do with this unit. You just take the Vanquisher Battle Cannon all day, every day. The pintle mounts, I mean, they're there. You take a multi-laser stubber or flamer, but dozer blades maybe if you be moving around. 100 killer missiles, kind of expensive at 10 points a pop. I could swear they were 5 normally, but I don't run them, so I don't know.
And a lot of things they are 5. Depends on the item, but they're usually 5 to 10. But there's a lot of stuff where it's 5.
Yeah, it'd only be S3. I wouldn't bother with it. So 155 points for the base, 140 for the additionals. Maybe bump those by 10 for las cannons. Not terrible, but I just feel like you get a lot more firepower for Marine Devastator Squad.
It's yeah. They're okay. They're not bad. Again, this is
classic.
We got to go classic. No. We're going classic. I haven't done this in a while. I haven't done
this every single episode.
That's a lie.
No, it's not. Go back I edit this, so I listen to every episode we podcast.
Not bad's normally my catchphrase. Dan's usually the one trying to stack 10 things.
I'm less salty than I am happy. I'm like 60-40 on this. Okay. No, and there's a reason why. I do not like the fact that the battle cannon sucks. Like the battle cannon was so damn iconic. It's an iconic. Literally, you look at type in Leman Russ on Google, and they all have battle cannons, right? It's just to me. It's just I don't understand. They could have literally made it AP4 Breach 4, which is what the stupid plasma, even Breach 5, like anything. But the fact that it's AP4 small blast, it's just like it's so stupid. But then on the flip side, the Vanquisher battle cannon is excellent, absolutely excellent. And I like the fact that for 10 points you could give it a las cannon. So, like, okay, I don't like it. I like it. I'm 60-40. That's what it is. Maybe 70-30. Maybe 70-30. But I'm still salty. The anger mostly comes from the battle cannon, honestly. That's literally where it comes from. That battle cannon should not be like that.
It is a shame that their classic weapon is not good. For all intents and purposes, historically,
I mean, let's face it. We lived through 5th edition with Leaf Blower, and it sucked.
Yeah. Very true.
But, like, Leman Russ has always been the answer to Space Marines. And having it not do that is rough.
Honestly, this is just a very different game than that was anyway. This, to me, in many ways, is a more deadly game on both sides, realistically. And back in 5th edition, you didn't have 10-man las cannon squads. You didn't have 10-man multi-multi squads. You didn't have contemptors all over the place that would laugh at no matter what the weapon looks like, really, for a one-shot sort of thing. Making an AP3 wouldn't be too bad. If you needed a points increase to justify that, I'd be happy with that. You can make it more expensive and make it AP3. I'm fine.
Okay, maybe they're afraid of AP3. Make it large blast. Like,
even if it was large blast, it would feel pretty good.
I would be less pissed off if it was just large blast, because that's what it used to be.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it. It's they basically double nerfed it. They took away the AP and then they made it small blast. Why? I would have been absolutely fine, but I would have been way less upset if it was strength 8 AP4 large blast pinning. Because now, okay, large blast, you're hitting a nice clump of Marines. That's 8 saves. You're going to lose 1 instant death, no apothecary, right? Okay. Right? That whole entire, what does a Space Marine get on an objective? 4 up if there's an apothecary, right?
Yes.
Heart of the Legion? Yeah.
Yes.
So, that's what I'm saying. Like, okay, smack it right in the tactical Marine squad and the objective. Boom. But it's small blast. I think mathematically you hit 2 Marines. If you space out, it's just no.
It's a tough sell.
Yeah, not everything should be cutting through everyone's armor, but your heavy support should have a good shot at getting through and causing real damage, because that's what heavy support is supposed to do.
I mean, for fuck's sake, the Demolisher cannon is small blast, and it's AP3 brutal, 3? Like, come on. It's just...
The other thing I will say on this one, Dozer Blade, if you're taking this in the one for troops choice, absolutely take a Dozer Blade, because otherwise you're going to mobilize your troops choices, and you're never going to get to your objectives.
You don't gain line, though. You just take up a troop slot. I think. Pretty sure. Let me check that.
All right.
Well, while you check that, here's a stupid question. This is going to be the old Angron Bloodthirster Retinue question from 6th edition. Let's say you purchase 2 additional Leman Russ tanks.
Yes.
So you have 3 in a squad. They don't act independently, right? Or do they?
No, they're a squad.
They're a squad.
They're the rule of being a squad. They're squadron.
What happens when one gets immobilized?
You break it off from the squad.
Leave it behind? Okay, perfect.
Yeah, there's a rule for it. You may leave
someone
it behind.
who listens to this podcast is definitely laughing because that was 6th edition where the biggest rules fight was can Angra or can a Bloodthirster leave his retinue?
Yeah, but, well, that's fine, but the vehicles were always able to. That was the rule when they had squadrons of vehicles in 5th and 6th.
Oh, good. Okay.
Good, vehicles never had that problem. That was just a rules thing that came up because the rule had never discussed the idea of non-vehicle problem like that. All right, Steve, do you want to talk about the next one? I guess that would be the assault you want to go to now?
I'm actually... assault. Actually, assault.
Okay. Yes.
So, turning over the page to the Leman Russ Assault Squadron. This one is not troops, and it does not have outflank. The standard stats are all the same, 14, 13, 10, 4 hull points. However, this one is actually a reinforced vehicle, which means, if we remember our special unit types, that it ignores shaken and stunned results insofar as my weapons don't work right. So they get to keep shooting even if they're shaken, and that's a huge boon. Huge boon. For 200 points, youch. It comes stock with a turret-mounted demolisher cannon, which, if you've listened to me for even 30 seconds before, I have expressed quite a bit how disappointed I am with this gun. Making it more points for a turret mount does not make it more appealing. I'm sorry. Hull-mounted heavy bolter, as usual, searchlight smoke launchers. All that's the same. Tercio. Like I said, though, before, not outflanking. You get extras for 185 points each. So, like before, it's a 15-point discount. You could replace the turret demolisher cannon with either an executioner plasma cannon for free, or a Volkite macro saker for free. And then the hull mounts and pintle mounts and extras are all the same as before. Same point, same everything. Here, all the turret options are free. There's no 5 points extra for a vastly superior gun. Does anyone have those stats pulled up already?
I do, yeah. So, just a quick rundown. Demolisher, it's range 24. We talked about it before, but just make sure because it's good to review for comparison purposes. Strength 12, AP 3, Ordnance 1. It's a 3-inch blast with Sunder, rending on a 6, and it is Brutal 3. So, we've talked about how it's somewhat disappointing, but there's spots where that is good, and this army can be one. For the Executioner Plasma Cannon, it's 48-inch range, strength 7, AP 4. It's heavy 1, large blast, and it's rending on a 4. So here's your large blast weapon. And the Volkite Macro Saker is 45 inches, strength 6, AP 5, heavy 8 with Deflagrate. Don't take the Saker.
No.
It's so cool. It's so pretty. It's a classic. Well, it's not a classic weapon, but it's something unique to the Heresy, which means you'll not get to use it in 40k at all, and it's going to cost you like $1 bajillion. But it looks so cool.
But you have other good Volkites.
Well, I was also going to say
Carnodon Strike Squadron.
Yeah,
there's the Volkite I want every day.
Yeah.
I say you always take the plasma cannon. Honestly,
Dan has the right answer.
Yeah.
Breaching on a 4 is very good. Large blast, very good. Blast, both of those, 4, oh hell yeah!
Is not gets hot like a normal plasma weapon, which is really nice. I don't see why you take the Demolisher.
I would never. I'm not going to call someone dumb or something. I wouldn't try to do that either way. Take what you want, have fun with your toys. I would never call someone dumb if they took the Demolisher here. I do like the plasma cannon a bit better, but I don't think the Demolisher in this army is a bad choice. It's a bit different in Space Marines because Space Marines to me have a lot of abilities to get very high strength, very good AP, tons of other blasts and all. This one, I don't feel they get quite as much, so I don't mind it here. I still like the other one better, but it's not here. I don't feel like it's a bad option. It's just not as much of an option I'm as excited about. The biggest problem with it is the range, the 24 inches. If it was a longer range, I'd be very fine with it.
It's 48. Oh, sorry, the Demolisher.
Demolisher. Yeah, that's what I mean.
I was thinking the plasma because I'm fixated on the plasma because it is the way to go. For Marine players, you get an equivalent kind of, actually get more firepower by taking a box dreadnought and giving it almost 2 of these guns, but theirs gets hot. We have a 2-up save, so it's fine. It's just that dreadnoughts are overtuned. Although box dreads are generally not so overtuned.
No,
but that's a whole separate discussion. Of these options, take the plasma. Of the other options, take the Vanquisher, and there's not much more to discuss than that.
It sucks that it's not okay. Again, just really quick, we're not trying to say it's meta. We're not trying to say like this is the best.
To me, there's no meta. It's not a thing.
I know exactly, but that being said, there is somewhat of a clear winner on this one. And I hate to say it like that, but
that happens.
I know it's like I don't like that because it makes the other choices also feel bad. You know, like I want my Demolition Cannon to feel like the plasma, but also to feel like the Macro Saker. You know what I mean?
Like I'd be okay feeling like I brought the wrong tech to play my opponent instead of I brought the wrong tech.
Yeah.
Period.
Yes. I think that's the thing. You feel like you're playing down. If you put a battle cannon on it, I feel like I'm playing down. I feel like, this is like you said, this is a quintessential heavy support choice. Leman Russ's. So if you're playing Solar Aux, you're probably going to have some. If you're taking that weapon, you are actively making your list worse. It's not even that your list is different or anything like that. And I think this army, like we've kind of said before, there's certain parts that's lacking. And the fact that ballistic skills are a little bit worse and they're a little bit softer in general and all means you already have a hill to climb. To be able to compete with Marines, you kind of are climbing up a little bit of a hill to start with. So then if you're also taking weapons that are, without much argument, just weaker and don't do nearly as much, that causes a problem. Like if you really want, a small blast thing, the extra points for the Demolisher one is better than the battle cannon one because at least you get the AP. It's still not great though, but it's an option.
So this is where I'm going to ask you a question. Are you ready? And I have to do math. If the Leman Russ was 120 points, or the Executioner was 145 points instead of 200, would you then be a lot happier?
I'm not I'm not unhappy. I don't have a problem with the
would you feel better about it?
So it's always tough to say because at the end of the day, yes, you as a player would always be happier if your stuff was cheaper to an extent. There is a point when it gets too cheap and then balance becomes an issue. Overall, yes, if it was a bit cheaper, I'd be happier. But I don't think overall we haven't sat down and built lists. Yeah. I don't think overall that this is an army where I'm nickel and diming my points.
The reason I bring this up, by the way, is because Militia, right? The new PDF for Militia. All of their Leman Russes are exceptionally cheaper. Now, all glancing hits inflict penetrating, right? Which doesn't matter unless you're AP 2 or 3, so who cares?
No, you can take results that mean you don't fire your weapons.
True, very well.
Yeah. It actually but they also don't count as
victory points. They also don't give off victory points.
I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, exactly. But I was just going to say, like, I don't know. I don't know. It's just 200 points. And then I'm kind of subjected to taking the plasma. It's just
all right. So, Dan, what if I told you there's another tank for 200 points that had a really cool gun with 36-inch range, strength 9, and AP 1, and Exoshock 6 up?
That's gonna be is that Dave's tank next?
No, that's the other Dave's tank, the Destroyer.
Ah, got it. Okay.
Yeah. See why I was saying the Destroyer is not that bad when you look at the other options? And we're going to make it a little bit better. So, the last option in the Tercio is the Armored Command section. While the other 2 units were squadrons with up to 3 tanks in them, this is a single tank for 200 points that always has a battle cannon, but it's ballistic skill 4. It has the same hull mount options, it has the same pintle mounted options, but you're gaining access to a flare shield. You have the 100 killer missile and dozer blade, but you also have the Cognis Signum. The flare shield's kind of neat if this is your HQ one in the cohort doctrine. Yeah. You're taking the flare shield to not give up, slay the warlord as easily. But the Cognis Signum is an interesting one. And you're also gaining the Solar Auxilia Command Tank rule. So a Solar Auxilia Command Tank, you take the model as a separate unit, but you assign it to another unit. It may not be deployed on its own. If multiple units are available, you choose which unit it's assigned to. Once assigned to a unit, a model with this rule counts as part of that unit, may not leave a unit during play for any reason. A Leman Russ command tank must be assigned to Leman Russ Strike Squadron or Leman Russ Assault Squadron. I'm going to assume you could also attach it to the Destroyers and the Thunderers, just based on the fact you could take one in their Tercio.
I would say yes.
If everyone argues otherwise, they can leave. But no,
I mean,
in all reality,
that means it wouldn't be a valid option for the Tercio, which it is. So,
well, you don't have to attach it in the Tercio, just to a valid unit.
Yeah, no, you can attach it. Just attach it. Have fun.
Yeah. But anyway, what about that Cognis Signum? It works just like a Space Marine Cognis Signum. If you have it, you can. If I could just pull up the rules super fast, so I don't misquote
if you choose not to shoot, you get +1 ballistic skill to the unit.
That's not the only thing you get.
That is true.
You also get night vision.
Yep.
Night vision means not taking penalties of night fighting, so full BS at night, full range at night, all that good stuff. But you are also ignoring evades.
Yeah, they can't shroud against you.
Yep, no shroud saves. So Raven Guard and Night Lords get wrecked. And Magnus and Mortarion.
Maybe. So, I don't know if they thought this far, and if that's the case, just remove the Cognitive Signum. Maybe that's the reason they didn't want to put the Battle Cannon AP3, because then that means essentially Space Marines are not getting anything, because they can't even attempt to shroud against it. I don't know.
But for 220 points, that's steep.
You know what I would have done, actually? Maybe give it Shred. It doesn't make it that much better, but at least they get to reroll the wounds.
No, Shred with a large blast. Now you got an argument for it. Now I'm not upset about it. If you take this armored command, I feel like you take a. Okay, so here's a weird thing. When you shoot at a squadron, and I can't look this up because Dan has my rule book. When you shoot at a squadron, they're normally all the same armor.
I did find it, by the way. Side note.
Good. Okay, good. Thank you for finding my rule book. Yeah. If you take a flare shield, this particular tank counts as one higher. If I'm the one you're shooting at, I nominate which one?
I actually have that page open, so give me a second to just skim and see if I can.
Oh, okay, good. I was like,
because that's something I personally don't know. Normally, it's like your opponent chooses which one's shooting, stuff like that.
Okay,
but they're all the
shooting
same
at squadrons.
Cool.
You roll to hit as normal.
Okay.
Once you determine the number of hits, you resolve them one at a time against a model in the squadron selected by the squadron's controlling player, as long as that model is in line of sight.
Yeah.
Once the chosen model is destroyed or otherwise removed as a casualty, you move to the next one in the unit. The only player goes, this is the one you're shooting. That's the one you're shooting.
So you put the flare shield in your command tank, and they're always shooting at your command tank while it's alive, because it's armor 15 in the front.
Yes. But if that one's hurt, then it takes wounds first. Like if it's valid
just
target.
make sure this is like the one you let get hurt.
Infantry. Yep.
I don't feel you need a command tank for this because they made the command tank more expensive. But if you're going to take one, I think you absolutely take the flare shield on them. Take the extra 25 points to make your entire team much more survivable. But I don't think I would bother with the command tank. It's a little bit much.
It's the only reason you have a battle cannon on a Leman Russ.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on Leman Russes before we just slog our way through them more unnecessarily?
See, Dan, destroyers are good because they also get the super durability from slow.
Because I know what comes ahead. There is something better than a destroyer.
Okay.
We'll talk about I know what it is. It's what Dave's about to talk about.
No, not that. It's another. It's a tank. It's a Valdor, but we'll get to him in a moment.
All right. Well, so what we're going to go to now then, we're going to go through the Auxilia Artillery Tercio. Much like other tertiaries, you're up to 3 units that you're allowed. You get 1 to 3 of either the Rapier Batteries or the Tarantula Sentry Batteries. And then you can do 0 to 1 of the Artillery Command section. Just as before, we're going to start with what you have to take and then get to what your option is later. So, they put these in reverse order. I'm going with the Rapier Battery, even though in the book it's reversed because I wrote this in my way in the notes. So, for the Rapier Battery, we got 35 points. For the gunner themselves, so move 6, weapon skill, ballistic skill, strength, toughness, all those are 3s. Initiative 3, it's a regular guardsman with, in this case, a 3-up save. So he's a little bit chunkier in terms of that. For the Rapier Battery, move 4, its weapon skill is 1. The gun doesn't fight well in close combat. Ballistic skill 4, strength 1 with a toughness of 5. It's got 2 wounds, initiative 1, attacks 1, 3-up save. You get 1 carrier and you got 2 gunners. All right, sorry for that quick pause there, but we are back to it. Yep, time is tracking. Good. So for the unit type, you have your infantry, which are heavy, and you have, your carrier is infantry/heavy. Same thing with the infantry themselves. The gunners have las pistols and void armor, and then it comes with a Gravis multi-laser battery. That's what the Rapier comes base. It's a tertiary, as we said. Bulky 4 for the carrier. The carrier is also relentless, so you can move and still fire as normal, and has Auxilia artillerists. Do we have that rule in front of us? Auxiliary artillerists.
Probably.
I like the sound of it, though.
Let's see.
I'm assuming I can make assumptions of what it does.
It's not a type, is it? No, it's a special rule. Of course it is.
Yeah, it's a special rule.
No, it's okay. I got
it's
it.
what you think it is.
Okay.
Yeah. So must have 1 auxiliary gunner per Rapier carrier in order for all Rapier carriers to make shooting attacks. If at any start of any control pair shooting phases, it contains fewer auxiliary gunners than Rapier carriers, then only the number of Rapier carriers equal to the number of auxiliary gunners can make shooting attacks. In addition, as long as there are at least as many auxiliary gunners in the unit as there are Rapier carriers, then the unit cannot be pinned, automatically passing any pinning test that's called to make upon without any dice being rolled. And this benefit is lost immediately once the number of auxiliary gunners is reduced to less than the number of Rapier carriers in the unit. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you need people to man the guns. That's all it boils down to. You can take up to 2 more of these. They're 35 points each. And for each carrier, you must include 2 additional gunners for no additional points. So for every 35 points, you get a whole nother set of this. So you could have essentially 6 guys with 3 batteries if you want. Every Rapier in the unit may exchange its Gravis multi-laser battery for one of the following, and they all have to do the same. So they can all go to Gravis heavy bolters. Mm-hmm. They can go to a laser destroyer for 25 points each, or a quad launcher with frag only for 20. And if they have quad launchers, you can pay extra points for incendiary, shatter, and splinter shells.
I have the weapons open if you want to go through them.
Yeah, so let's go through the multi-laser first.
Oh, wait.
I have the
Gravis multi-laser.
Gravis multi-laser. It's 36-inch range, strength 6, AP 6, heavy 6, twin linked.
Okay.
So how about the laser destroyer?
Laser destroyer. Wait, I just had there. 36 inches, strength 9, AP 1, ordnance 2 shots, twin linked exoshock 6. That's nasty. Yeah.
It does start making these things rather expensive, but yeah, it's reasonably
60 points is not terrible.
60 points is not bad.
No, but for overall the sort of stats and what it's possessing, your ability to kill it.
Remember, as artillery, it can move and fire.
Yes. And the quad launcher.
I'm trying to find that right now.
You said you had the weapons. By had the weapons, you mean you had 1 out of 3 weapons?
No, I had 3.
I got it. So the quad launcher has 12 to 60 range on the frag and incendiary, 36-inch range on the shatter and splinter. The frags, which is the standard, right, is strength 5, standard. AP 5, heavy 1 barrage, 5-inch blast and shred. The shatter is your kind of tank hunting one. It's got strength 8, AP 4, heavy 4 and sunder. Notably not a barrage weapon, have to direct fire that. The incendiary shells are strength 4, AP 5, heavy 1 barrage, 5-inch blast with ignores cover, pinning, and shred. Nice. And finally, the Splinter has that 36-inch max range. It's strength 2, AP 4, heavy 1 barrage, large blast 5 inches, but it is rending on a 6, pinning, and has shell shock 1.
I like these. I don't know which shell I like the most, actually.
Because for that, you may take any of the following additional shells, and the upgrade must be bought for all of them. So if you are running, say, a squad of 3, incendiaries are 5 points each, so that's an extra 15. But the other ones are an extra. Splinter would be an extra 30 for a unit of 3, or Shatter would be an extra 60 points for a unit.
Wait,
of 3.
aren't they 20 points each? So wouldn't it be 25
per model?
40?
Yeah, and I'm not saying you have to run a squad of 3, but let's assume you have a squad of 3 because it's still pretty cheap points wise. I like one of these. Like if you just happen to have a spare, I don't know, heavy slot, and you want to take one of these and one of something else, but otherwise, I think you're taking several.
Why would you spend 40 points on shatter shells when you can spend 25 points on laser destroyers?
Well, yes, but also because you're taking a look at the base. No, the quad launcher's 20, and then shatter shells is an extra 20. You're spending
right. But together, it's 45 points for 4 strength 8 shots with Sunder versus 2 shots that are twin linked at strength 9 AP 1. Exoshock.
With Exoshock 6 and
twin linked.
And twin linked. Why would I ever spend more points on it?
It's the flexibility. Because you have the other shell types. So you'll also have the frag for chaff clearing. Of them, I think the Splinter is probably the most interesting because it might rend. But more importantly, has the shell shock. So if you get a wound through, you're more likely to pin.
Yeah, I do like the Splinter a lot.
It all boils down to very different choices for the things you want to do. Yeah, laser destroyers are nice, but if your goal isn't to cut through heavy vehicles or very heavy infantry, a laser destroyer is going to kill 1 to 2 guys off your ballistic skill. It won't matter.
But let's be fair. We're all taking laser destroyers because that's what the rest of the army needs access to. You could kill infantry all day long just by spamming Volkites and Strength 6 Laslock shots. You need something to get through tank armor, and that's the laser destroyer.
Yeah, and it's only 25 points each, which, in my opinion, is a steal. 60 points for 2 shots.
So you can take more than one Rapier in this Tercio. If you're taking one, yes. If you're taking more than one, I can absolutely see an argument for taking something that is just going to lay down to take out more squads. If I was taking another one, the Gravis multi-laser isn't bad, or I could see with the quad launcher, if your goal is to hit things at a further distance that you either can't see, since you can do that one as barrage and large blast, say a squad of 3, still keep it somewhat cheap. But yeah, if you're taking one, I would probably take the laser destroyer. But not, and some of the other things we're going to talk about give you some of your other options anyway. So if we... Well, timestamp.
Hey, Steve, for the next one, do you have the FAQ open as adjusted?
It has firing protocols.
Okay, good. Okay, I wanted to make sure they change. I just wanted to make sure they changed it because if they didn't, I was going to make the biggest joke.
Okay. So next option is the Tarantula Sentry Battery at 60 points. It doesn't move. When it comes down, it is there. Weapon skill 1, it's ballistic skill 2, which is a shame. We've seen some of this before. We'll still discuss it. Strength 1, toughness 4. It's got 2 wounds. It's not fighting. Its leadership is awful, of course. 3 up save. The unit, though, is 3 sentry guns. So for 60 points, you actually get 3 of them. War gear is 2 heavy bolters. They are automated artillery. They have sentry protocols. They're tercio, and they are bulky as well. Sentry protocols. Who has that?
Isn't that just rule that says you have to shoot the closest?
I believe it is. Yes.
This is page 136 for those following along. Shoot attack targeting the enemy unit, which has the closest model line of sight to any model in the attacking unit in the controlling player's shooting phase. Yep.
Yeah, these guys are cheap, but that is a bit of a very big downside to them because you could be shooting at a unit that you can't hurt.
Listen, 60 points for 6 heavy bolters? Meh, not bad.
That's objectively good.
Or
if you can make sure that they're just not going to put something the heavy bolter can't hurt.
Or how about the 6? I mean, what is it? 2 Oh, no, that's 20 points each. So
Yes.
You're
that's
doubling the
another-
cost for
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
BS2 attack. No.
Yeah, no, that's a bad
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah. No.
So you can take 6 additional tarantulas if you want. They're 20 points each, and all of them may exchange for either 2 las cannons for 20 points each one, an Hyperion missile launcher for 5 points each, and they can take things like an augury scanner. It would be 20 points for the whole unit, or searchlights 5 points for the unit.
Augury
last
scanners
cannons-
is kind of interesting. Not gonna lie.
Augury scanners are great because the stuff that usually comes in, this will be able to hurt. And only 20 points, you're already pretty cheap. I like that. It's not 20 points each, which is good. The last cannons is a mistake, though. Your blitz is skill 2.
Yeah, no. None
Your
of
last
that
cannons aren't doing any good. You'll get a lot of shots, but you're only out of 6 shots, you're statistically going to get 2. I don't know if you
We're
want
out
to spend
18
120
shots,
points for these.
getting 6 hits.
Yes,
Ooh.
for tons of points.
For
That's when it actually
360
starts getting
points.
expensive.
380
if-
points with the augury scanners.
If your
Yeah.
rapier batteries are taking the last cannons for you, these things don't need last cannons.
Very true.
What does the missile launcher do, though? I don't have that in front of me. I'd have to find it.
So I did pull it up.
Thank
It
you.
is range 48, strength 7, AP 3, heavy 3, skyfire. So this is the anti-air of the list. But it has to shoot the closest. And unfortunately, in this rendition of the rules, there is nothing that says it goes to the closest flyer. Unlike last edition, where it said if there was a flyer available, you could shoot the flyer instead. Unless I'm just missing something. Dan, please tell me I'm missing something.
No.
No.
No, you're not. At least
If you're
they got
doing
firing
that, you have to
protocols.
take augury scanners, so that way you at least get to intercept it.
True. And also do consider it's a tercio. Right?
Mhm.
The augury scanners off of the tarantulas do allow everything else, as long as it's within the range, to get the benefit of the free interceptor shots.
Yeah. Yeah, because it does say shooting reactions. It doesn't say the particular name of the shooting back reaction. So, yeah. But I mean,
So
heavy
for
bolters with these guys, that's not bad.
So for 95 points, I would do the missile launchers and augury scanners. Just because there's no other real anti-air in the list without taking your own planes. So if you're going to do this, you might as well do the anti-air option. Because that's where you have the biggest weakness. Although BS2
Yeah.
3 shots isn't that great, it's something.
It's better than on 6s, which is what you normally have when you don't bring anything for anti-air. I don't mind it, though, with heavy bolters. I really don't. I don't think heavy bolters are necessarily a bad option on this. I mean, yeah, they could be putting a vehicle close enough, but if you put this in the right spot, put this near your objective, something like that, they're going to have to get people out, and you have a really cheap ability to put some good fire on people. I like that one overall. The other one's better, but I still like it. Quickly, let's take a look at the very last thing, and that is the artillery command section. Just putting my timestamp. So the command section, 65 points. You got guys. These are just regular old dudes. You have an Auxilia veteran, which has essentially the standard stat line that we've been looking at all across the board. And then they have a troop master who has 1 better weapon skill, ballistic skill. So otherwise, the normal guys are 3s across the board with 1 wound, 2 attacks, so they get 1 extra attack than a normal guy. With 4 up saves, 6 leadership, 7 on the master. So very standard for what we've
They're
seen.
like the troops unit command squad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have-
The rifle section.
Yes. Yeah, they have las rifles, they have the void armor, frag and crack grenades, they have close order, they're a tercio, all of that. If there's no more than 10, you can take an Aurochs as a dedicated. And for weapons, for options, you can take some more guys, 8 points each. This is the same exact unit we saw before. They can take some bayonets. You can take Command Vox, Auxilia Vexilla, Augury scanners. The leader can take a couple different types of pistols or close combat weapon. And the interesting parts here, otherwise it's just some regular guys. The important part here, or potential important part, is things like the troop master can take So he can take a Cognus Signum or Melt a Bomb for 5 points. So his Cognus Signum, would that only help his unit, or could he give that to other things in the Tercio?
I don't know the Cognus Signum rules. Are they? Let me see if I could. I guess that would be special rules. No,
Cognus Signum, I have it right here.
perfect.
A model with Cognus Signum gains Night Vision special rule.
Nope,
In
just
addition,
his unit.
Just his
Just
unit?
his unit.
All right, then I don't care. I was hoping he could give it
Yeah.
to something else.
Hand
in
it
here
off
because
to the next
now
guy.
he's
Yep.
interesting.
No, well, it's a way to add augury scanners on a more mobile unit. Like, let's say you want to be able to advance with your rapier carriers.
These guys.
You don't want them tied
Oh yeah, they have
down
Augury.
with tarantulas, right? Because the tarantulas are a way to get the augury scanners, but they can't move at all. But let's say like you want to be able to move. This is how you get the moving augury scanner in the mix.
Yeah.
But it's going to be 70 points to do that.
If
And it's a
if anyone
flimsy
listening knows why the Cognus Signum would work for the other things, if this guy takes it, I would love for you to tell us we're wrong, because I want to be wrong. I want that to be the reason why. Otherwise, it's a useless piece of war gear, realistically. My las rifles hit a tiny bit better. I would love to give that to something else in here, because to me that makes sense. This guy's like calling out the shots. He's standing there telling the guns where to fire. That's so much more fitting. So I'm hoping we're wrong. I'm hoping somewhere, somehow, there's a way to do it. Anything else we want to say about this? I think they're cool and pretty cheap options, reasonably cheap, and the Rapier batteries are pretty good, and I do like the tarantulas. I think they're fun.
They're a great thing to sneak into an allied detachment's heavy support slot. Good way to shore up the weaknesses of a Legion list. I mean, the Legion list has the ability to take pretty much all of this. You know, the artillery section stuff, rather. But you do it cheaper in this section, so that's worth considering.
Yeah, it's fitting. Let's see. All right, I think that puts us to Dan to talk about the Malcador.
Hey, sexy tank time. So, Malcador, probably one of the cooler tanks that Forge World sells. If you really like those old World War I tanks. This is legitimately a World War I tank, by the way. It's legitimate. So, it is 225 points, so not much more than the Demolishers. It is move 14, ballistic skill 3, 13 on the front and the side, 12 in the rear, 5 hull points, so it is chunky. It is reinforced. It has a bunch of weapons. It has a front-mounted heavy bolter in the hull. It has a hull front-mounted battle cannon. It has a left and right side heavy bolter. It has searchlights, and it has smoke launchers. And it does have independent fire control, which is... Anyone have that open? If not,
Nope.
I'll go to the options.
My guess
the,
is
the
it
guns shoot
means they
different
can fire
directions.
Oh, perfect. So it's got independent... You could take an additional 2 for 225 each. If you want a little Squadron. Option-wise, you can replace the hull-mounted battle cannon, please, with a hull-mounted Gravis las cannon or a hull-mounted Vanquisher cannon, both for 10 points, by the way. That Vanquisher cannon, by the way, very sexy choice. You can replace the hull-mounted heavy bolter, the front one, with an autocannon, multi-laser, heavy flamer, all for free, or a las cannon for 10, or a demolisher for 50. Whatever.
I do have
You
to say,
can-
though, Dan, independent fire control is not just split fire. It's
Oh, what
split
is it?
fire, but the things that split off are at -1 BS.
Ah, okay. Okay.
Okay, so that's why it's not Power of the Machine Spirit. Okay.
Got
Yep.
it. So you can replace both of its side mounted heavy bolters. And they're both right or left. So I'm going to not go right. Love it.
No.
So you can do it with autocannons, multi-lasers, heavy flamers are free. Las cannons for 25. You can give it the same pintle mounted stuff, multi-laser, heavy stubber, heavy flamer. You can give it a flare shield, hunter killer, and dozer blades. So option wise, I'm automatically replacing that battle cannon. So it's not 225
Yes.
to me, it's 235. What I replace it with, I don't know. The Vanquisher is, but the Gravis last
Okay,
cannon is
Let me see if the FAQs changed that one.
I was about to
Yeah.
ask, because this one says 2 hull mounted.
I don't
If it's
think this one
actually
changed.
2, if it's actually 2,
Yeah, that's what I'm
now
saying.
there's a thought. If it's not actually 2, then you absolutely wouldn't do it.
While he's checking the FAQ, I'm going to skip it. So I'll come back to that. Let's talk about the heavy bolter. I like the fact that you can make this into a las cannon bolt, kind of like the Spartan or the Land Raider, because you could technically give it, let me see, one hull mounted las cannon, 2 side las cannons, so that's 3 shots, and then you could give it a mounted Gravis las cannon, unless it's 2. If it's 2, then that's what? Jesus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 shots of las cannons?
Yeah, it'd be 7.
On a not bad, and that's only what 250, 260,
Oh,
270. They changed it.
yeah, it's 1 Gravis las cannon.
Oh, okay.
No, it's
It's
a
still
Vanquisher.
listen, it's still 260 for
Tarantulas are fearless, by the way, in case anyone's wondering.
wow.
Oh, they should be.
Yay, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, you take the Vanquisher, but even though I wouldn't even replace the heavy bolter as a problem. All right, can you maybe give them all auto cannons? So now it's just auto cannons and Vanquisher battle cannons. So it's 235 because the auto cannons are free. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now you have 3 auto cannons firing while it's moving up, and then a Vanquisher cannon poo-pooing. That's pretty cool. I like this tank a lot. I do like this tank a lot.
It's a very nice look.
Yeah.
Weirdly, all the weapons get changed from side arcs to hulls
What?
in the
Yeah.
FAQs as well.
Huh.
Oh, wait.
What?
Oh, so
Yep.
like the left side heavy bolter's actually hull?
Yep.
Why? You know what? I can probably
When
guess
you
why.
look at the gun, it should be hull. Yeah. The
Yeah,
gun's
okay.
actually in a
Yeah.
little cupola, so it's pointed like straight forward. It's not strafing.
Yeah.
Not for the way they made it.
I was just going to say it's because of the
Maybe
look.
a little bit, actually. Maybe when I look at one of
It
the
might
other
be
pictures,
also
it's
maybe.
because
weird, right?
Yeah.
old World War I tactics, for those people who don't know, history lesson in 5 seconds with Sevilla. The way those tanks used to fire from the side is they used to, I like to call it the wiggle. They used to wiggle a little bit to the left, fire, wiggle a little bit to the right, fire, right? Because you couldn't really point the guns in the same direction. So I'm assuming that they changed. This is me looking too much into it, by the way, side note. But I'm assuming maybe some historian was like, oh, that tank probably does the wiggle. And I know it's not called, there's probably some army term and someone's like typing madly into like the YouTube.
You have
It's
this
be
weird
wiggle,
idea of what you
but
think
in
people give for our
French.
comments.
Yeah, you listen. I
It's
bet
definitely
you.
going
maybe
to
not.
be in French instead of English, but it'll still be wiggle.
I hope it is. Oh my God, please. But that's probably why. That's how those tanks used to fire. You would wiggle a little to the right, fire off volleys. Wiggle to the left, fire off a volley. Also, because they weren't rapid fire weapons; they were literally just a cannon.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, it's and it looks great. I love. I'm such a sucker, and I haven't seen one of these in person, so I don't know. Oh no, it isn't. I'm looking at the gray. Oh, I was gonna say, you know what? I'm a sucker for when like old tanks have that like leather around the gun when it attaches itself to the turret, right? It's got like the movable leather. I thought that's what this. Yeah, I thought that was that.
No, that's not that.
That's it's literally just rotation. But yeah, no, it's an awesome looking tank. It looks great.
You take the flare shield.
Take the
Yeah,
yeah.
I think you do. It's for 25 points going up to 14. 13 to 14 is a huge difference. It really
Yes.
feels that way.
Yeah. No, it's great.
So here's a question. Steve, do you have the independent fire control rule in front of you?
Yes.
Okay, so here's a question I'm going to ask. Normally, if you're shooting, you said if you split fire the weapons, -1 ballistic skill on the other things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's
If you're
written
firing
so
a
weird.
defensive weapon, it may always fire separately at the closest target. Is that count as a split fire?
Okay, let's read the whole thing to you, and you can tell me.
I know what my gut
It's on
feeling is
page
going to say, but I want to hear
133
it.
for those following at home. After a model with this special rule, or a unit composed entirely of models with this special rule, has resolved a shooting attack targeting an enemy unit, any weapons that were not used to attack, either due to being out of line of sight or range of the enemy unit, or because the controlling player voluntarily opted not to attack with them,
There's your answer. Okay.
may
Yep.
make a number of secondary
Good.
shooting attacks using those weapons that did not fire as part of its initial shooting attack. Each weapon not fired as part of the initial shooting attack may be fired once, either all of them in a single secondary shooting attack, each in a separate secondary shooting attack targeting enemy units, or any combination. However, each
Yep.
weapon may only be used to attack once, and in no more than one secondary shooting attack. All secondary shooting attacks obey all the normal rules for range and line of sight, and are with a modifier of -1 on all to hit rolls.
So we're fine. Because you declare all your shots. No, you declare all your shots the moment you pick. So what you do is, I am going to declare this autocannon here, and the main battle cannon here.
So remember,
you have now declared all your weapons firing.
No,
or
no, that's not how that works.
Sponson/defense weapons get to shoot at the closest. This lets you shoot not the closest with those weapons split off.
Yes, if you use defensive. But Dan, no, that's not how that works. Because they're essentially saying if you're not shooting at the main target, you're -1.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, then you're taking the -1.
Wait,
you were saying it like you don't take the -1. You do take the -1 on everything else.
Oh, I'm sorry. I see where. Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Because remember, you're technically firing one gun at a time. That's why they word it that way. But essentially, the first time you fire anywhere else from then on out. And the other thing is, it does. Correct me if I'm wrong, but essentially, it said if you're shooting somewhere else, every shot has to go at them, which could cause some issues.
No, because
with left and right guns.
Remember, there's no left right because it's all hull mounted as well.
That's why, you know what? That's probably why they did it, or one of the thoughts they did, because that rule doesn't work with the way this weapon was originally written.
All right,
because then you could have guns that literally don't fire because it's on your right side and you can't see the left because you've already split like once. Okay, it's still neat though. It's a neat looking tank. I'm
not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I kind of wish this had the heavy subtype.
I think it should.
Really? You don't like the fact that people have to roll 2 dice? They have to roll 2 dice and choose the...
I would rather the tank is slower and it's 2 dice chooses the lowest, because remember, this is not a Lord of War.
Slow.
It used to be way in the early days of Horus Heresy 1.0 when they had that 1.5 rule set. It stopped being a Lord of War, a super heavy type. And that was a huge hit to its capabilities. Huge hit. If it was slow, if it was slow, then you have the problem of only one weapon's firing normally.
Yeah. I'll say I like the overall look of the tank. I'm not super thrilled with all the things I see though. As a choice over, say, like a Leman Russ or anything like that. It has more pieces, but I can get the kind of same gun I have on that Leman Russ. I don't know, but for rule of cool, I just like it better. But I'm not sure I'm gaining so much. At least not by the way I see it for the moment.
It's 75, 80 points more compared to an equivalent Leman Russ for that main turret.
Yes,
and you're gaining a hull point, losing a point of front armor.
Yeah, and in most cases, not all, but in many cases, I'd rather have the extra armor, because if your weapon can reliably get through my armor, the extra hull point's not going to save me.
I mean, you get a demolisher cannon, which is, it's there.
It's too much. It you know what? Honestly, on this vehicle,
3 las cannons or 5 las cannons.
I don't mind. Yeah, I don't even mind the Vanquisher with some of the other guns sort of as is and all, or maybe switching it to an autocannon.
Maybe you don't go Vanquisher on the Malcador because it does not have the coaxial mounted autocannon.
That's the other problem.
So you're not getting that potential for reroll hits.
Yes. But the problem is, do you want to keep the battle cannon on it then? Because the Gravis las cannon would have the same issue. So do you want the battle cannon then? At least the battle cannon's probably going to hit something, I guess. I don't know. I'm not as thrilled about this as I want to be. I want to like it more.
And you can't buff it with a command tank.
No. Maybe if you're worried about that, you load it down with autocannons, leave the battle cannon on the top, and you're aiming for different targets. You're not trying to kill necessarily their vehicles. You're trying to kill a little bit more mid-range or lighter vehicles or something.
Well, for multi-lasers, so it's all defensive.
Yeah. You could do that as well. Put the multi-lasers, you're only losing a little bit of strength. You're losing the rending, but that's okay. Just aim for things where that matters. And at strength 6, there's still a lot of things that they would fire that you could get into rather than at strength 5, because at least now you're still smacking 12s.
There's what,
Um,
9 strength 6 shots? I think. Because you have the 3 hull mounts that are all listed very differently in the book than in reality.
yes. Yeah, that's not bad.
It's not bad, but it feels bad for 225 points.
It feels that way compared to the Leman Russes that we looked at that can carry somewhat similar options for a good amount less with a little bit better armor, a little bit slower, but a little bit better armor. I like the armor more than a whole point. And it almost, I think that's one of the reasons why it feels like you kind of have to take a flare shield. So now you're getting back to that better armor, but now you're tacking on 25 extra points. Yeah, I wish I liked it more, but I don't. It's kind of a shame. There'll be cases you'll take it. I mean, you take it with the Vanquisher battle cannons, and you're going to have a game where you fire that and you destroy someone's big, crazy whatever. You're absolutely going to have games where that happen. But I think you're going to have a lot of games where I rolled 2 dice. I missed. All right. There's like 250 or more points down the drain for that turn. And maybe the next turn I can do something. So I don't know. I think it's going to be very hit and miss. All right. So we have 2 other things before we get to ban Cyclops. Steve, which one do you want? Do you want the Armored Battery or the Valdor?
They're one of them's really cool. One of them's really fast.
Do you
Which would
prefer
you
things that
rather
are
take?
cool? I don't matter to me. Wait, Earthshaker, isn't that the thing we already talked about we didn't like?
Yeah,
Well,
no,
it's
I was just
that,
going to say
but
it's also Medusa, which we also talked about and hated.
yeah,
It's we
All
could
right.
kind of skip this if you want. It's
No,
200 points, and we're
we'll
going to
talk
hate
about it. We'll go through it
Yeah.
quickly.
All
All right, I'll do it.
Let's
We're
do-
going through. Well, we can't call it a deep dive, and then you're like, let's forget about this one entry in the book. No,
It's
that's
just
not how
gonna.
this works.
I hate it. I just hate it.
You don't. Then you don't have to say anything. Boom. There we go. Keep it nice and simple for you. All right. Solar Auxilia, Armored Battery, 200 points, move 10, Ballista Skill 4, so a little bit better Ballista Skill. It is front 13, side 12, rear 10 with 4 hull points. It has no special rules. It's a bombard vehicle. This is your Basilisk. It has a centerline mounted Earthshaker cannon, searchlight, smoke launchers. You can take extras for 200 points a pop. You can replace it with the Medusa mortar. And you can take some pintle-mounted weapons like a multi-laser, heavy stubber, heavy flamer, put some dozer blades, or you can take a 100 killer missile towards the front. Yeah, the Earthshaker was like the terrible AP one that we went back and forth on forever, right?
That was the one
the
that was
Earthshaker?
yeah. It's AP4,
Yeah.
strength 9. Like no.
shred and pinning, yay!
Yeah.
At least at least it's still a 5-inch blast.
The
Yes.
reason you remember this, by the way, is because we compared this to the Solar Auxilia Minotaur battery, which was 80 points.
It's the
more.
same thing, but not
It
twin linked.
had.
Yes.
It's the same thing, not twin linked exactly.
Yeah. So that's the big thing. The biggest problem with the Minotaur battery when we were talking about it was the points cost. The weapon is fine if it's on a cheap enough chassis. Strength 9 is still good. AP, okay, not everything can be AP3 and AP2. You don't want a game where that's true of everything because then that's a boring game. But the problem is the number of points. At 200, it doesn't feel as bad, but we were saying last time we wanted to knock like 100 points or more off. They didn't do that. For that Medusa mortar, you can swap it with. It's 36-inch range instead of 240. Strength 9, AP 4. Still Ordnance 1, still Barrage, still Large Blast. Instead of Shred and Pinning, this one is Pinning and Rending on a 6. If you're gonna take
rending on a
this,
6 is something.
if you're gonna take this, I guess you would take and you're not playing like a crazy APOC game, you would take the Medusa. But for 200 points, it's just too much. Of those options, of those 2, if I'm taking it, yes. Because I care more about rending than shred.
Especially when you're already wounding on 2s.
Yeah. My shred is going to save me a wound, but that amount will get me to a rending hit, which was going to feel better. So, but the problem is I think
Medusa
it's still
should be strength 10 AP actually decent. But like a small blast.
honestly, though, I have no problem with the guns if you made it, cost effective. I don't want where everything that they bring has a great AP, because that's just not going to be fun.
Problem is, nothing they bring has a good AP.
No, nothing with a blast really much more than Demolisher. They have some decent AP. They got some 9.2s and stuff like that, but they don't have any blast that can do it. Not reliably. Make that Medusa rending on a 4-up. Now at 200 points, I can see it as an option. I'm not saying it's an amazing option, but I could see it, and it would kind of feel pretty good to take. But at 200, it's probably just a little bit much for an army that's already going to pump out massive amounts of shots with where you get full saves and everything. This is just another thing that pumps out a bunch of shots that you get full saves against. But this is something where if you had a 40k army, Imperial Guard and stuff like that, you might already have something like this. So you might be bringing it just because you already own it. You already own.
I mean, the
Medusas
points to
and
dollar
Basilisks.
efficiency is one of the best in this entire book, right there.
Yes.
Very
Yeah.
true.
This is a plastic kit, so
Technically,
but yeah.
the one in this book is actually a resin kit. It's the Dracosin with the troop transport bay replaced with an enclosed artillery area.
get
That
the plastic
said,
one.
I would be okay with the plastic one.
Oh,
It's
absolutely. Just do the
otherwise
plastic one.
identical.
Yeah. It's,
Well, actually, no, because you don't get your heavy bolter.
that's fine. You don't have to model a heavy bolter. I'm okay with that.
But,
Tell him I said it was okay.
Yeah.
Like I'm some sort of authority on anything.
It's rough. It's
Yeah,
a beautiful
it's a problem.
model, though. It's a
Yes.
beautiful model.
What I'm going to be curious. So we're going to have to do a time when we do meet some lists, and we'll talk amongst ourselves to figure out what we're going to go towards. And I think we have to have aims in mind, because I'm curious, since a lot of this army is a bit cheaper, can I fit some of this in and feel still pretty good about my list? I'm going to be curious when we do that. Is it going to feel as bad at 200 when normally I'm thinking Space Marines, where my units are 200 points to start with, and then I have vehicles at 200? Or is this going to feel better because my units are cheap and then my vehicles can be a little more expensive?
Well,
I
when
guess we'll
marine vehicles are cheaper, it's an uphill fight.
It is. Absolutely. I think that thing could lose some points and would feel pretty good. It wouldn't even have to lose that much. You take 30, maybe 40 points off, and now I like it. I like it quite a bit then. But all right, you're right. That was fast. Valdor. Tell us about
Valdor,
this.
if you like the Malcador, but you thought to yourself, I wish this could kill tanks a little bit better, I got good news for you. For an extra 25 points, to all the way up to 250, you could get the Valdor Tank Destroyer. This is one of the weirdest models in the game, because if I remember correctly, yep, okay, cool. So, you get movement 14, BS3, front and side 13, rear 12, and 5 hull points as before. It's one reinforced vehicle with a centerline mounted neutron beam laser and one sponson mounted heavy bolter. Just one. And it's only on the right side of the vehicle. I love this thing.
What? I wasn't looking.
Yes. You get one sponson on the right hand side.
What? Why?
Because the enemy's infantry can only ever attack to your right.
What? Like legit?
So to
I'm
answer your
sure this
question,
is based
No, I
on an
got you.
actual
I
historical
got you.
tank
Oh,
that had that
yes, I see.
configuration.
Okay, no, I see
So
why.
I got
Okay.
you. So for those who don't know, if you look at the model, off to the left-hand side, the gigantic tubing that is the neutron laser runs into the side of the tank. So
Yeah.
it's got all of its tubing, its arc generators, all the stuff that makes the neutron laser fire is on the left side of the vehicle. So
Yeah.
because of that, it only has space on the right side for a
And it's a special rule called Containment Breach. If it explodes, it's an extra 3 inches in the radius.
All right.
Same options as before with the single sponson autocannon, multi-laser, heavy flamer, las cannon. Same pintle mounts with the multi-laser, heavy stubber, heavy flamer. You take a flare shield, hunter killer missile, dozer blade.
More
Let's dig into that
expensive
neutron laser.
sponsons, though.
Weirdly enough,
I have it here
yes.
if we need.
I got it.
Yeah.
So the neutron
cool.
laser is a 36-inch range, strength 10, AP 1, ordnance 2, concussive 3, shock pulse, and gets hot.
Normal shock pulse, does it have a value or no?
Just shock pulse.
Just shock pulse.
You're
Okay.
thinking exoshock, Dan.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I keep.
Your
Oh,
brain
that's right.
went
Shock
to
pulse is the better
exoshock.
one. I know it's shock
Shock
pulse,
pulse
is amazing.
is the make you snap shoot one.
Make
Yes.
everyone snap shoot,
Well,
even
if they're
super
vehicle,
heavies. Yeah, well, yes. It's but I'm saying even if you're super heavy,
Yeah, if you take a pen, they snap shoot.
It's cool
My-
as all hell.
It's too expensive.
So the closest comparison point I think would be the destroyer tank, right? For an extra
yeah, that's
50
the
points,
one in the PDF. You mean or no?
Yeah, the PDF one.
Yeah,
So you, for an extra 50 points on the initial tank, you're getting an extra hull point, weaker front armor, and the loss of the slow rule, a little bit more speed, and you move a heavy bolter to the side.
and
I don't know if that's worth
I think the weapon's better. Hold on.
The weapon is stronger,
Yeah, the weapon is stronger as well.
but it what's it? Ordnance 2, concussive 3, shock pulse gets hot versus what was it? Heavy 2,
Twin linked,
exoshock 6 up,
gets on.
twin linked.
Yeah, the weapon is better.
But you're still ballistic skill 3, you're going to miss half the shots.
Yeah, at least the other one's twin linked.
Yeah. This weapon, 250 feels too expensive. It's a nice gun, but you're going to miss half the time.
One
So
lucky last pin
realistically,
is all
you're
it's going to take.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's always a chance you lose this to someone shooting at you, but, you fire that gun. If you roll average, again, you could roll where you get 2 hits every single time, but let's assume you roll average. You're getting 1 hit at a time. It is strength 10, which is nice, but strength 10 is not the end of the world.
Strength 10 ordnance, so 2d6 pick the highest.
You're
True.
instant death in custodies, but that's like
Yeah.
one custodian at a time if he's not in cover.
Yeah, the ordnance part helps. You're going to be a bit more reliable getting into the vehicles. Your AP1, you're more reliable to take it down. Shock pulse is going to be nice as well. But again, you're going to have that time when in turns where you get no hits. Here's 250 points or more, and you've done nothing with it. I don't know. Maybe it's fine at that points level. It just feels a little expensive for what can go well, but there's always a chance that it doesn't. So, I don't know. We haven't gone through the normal Marine books, so maybe, I don't know if we just have less to say sometimes about vehicles because it's kind of straightforward. You either really like this thing or you would never want to take it.
I
think
will
that
say,
depends
as
on the
someone who has
person.
played with shock pulse, because the Thanatar can get shock pulse las cannon, it's absolutely amazing. Even for the sheer fact, because you don't have to wound the damn tank, you just lightly touch it with the gun, and it's already it's snap firing.
Don't you have to pen it?
No, you just touch it.
Are you sure about that?
Almost
Do
certainly.
you have the
but
shock pulse rule in front
I
of you?
will Excel sheet it right now.
Okay,
Scrolling
please
down,
do. I didn't think it was just pure hit. I could be wrong though. I've only ever run one weapon with it,
hold on,
and I think
there
the
are
one
shock
time
pulse. Oh no, it does. Any vehicle?
Has
No,
to
it does
suffer
have
a penetrating
hit.
or
It
Yeah,
does have to
so I
suffer
was
penetrating.
entirely right.
Sorry.
Thank you. That's
Glances
okay.
are not enough, and hitting is not enough.
All right.
If it was just pure, you make a hit, then this weapon becomes amazing. You absolutely take this tank, because then 75% of the time I'm going to make you snap shoot. But it's good. I worry about law of averages
Missing.
Am I going to get a good feeling out of it?
I think one of the biggest downsides to this vehicle is you cannot squadron it. You cannot tercio it. So you're giving up a whole slot for 2 dice with a 50-50 shot of hitting.
Yeah.
And then against the targets they want to go after, a 50-50 shot of doing something.
Yeah. I mean, on 2 dice on 50-50s, you have 75% chance that you're going to get 1 through.
Yeah.
So you are most likely going to get 1, but you're just as likely to get nothing as you are 2. So it's, it's more...
Being ordnance helps, because you only 2 dice take the highest, depend. But that's still a 75% chance. So it's 75 by 75. That's 916. No, you want the other half of that, right?
Are you're trying to talk about
The
for it
failure
doing what
rate.
you want?
The chance of it doing
Well,
nothing.
well, the big thing is you had to figure out what
So
the target number is. Yes, you're rolling
One-
2 dice on the second one, but what's your target number on that? Because if your target number is, like, say you want a 4 or more, then yes, 75% of the time you're going to get it. But if it's a different number, it's going to start changing. So you're going to probably get something almost every turn you do something with this. But any turns where you don't, you're going to feel like a fool.
which is at least a quarter of the turns.
Yes. And for 250 points, that's a lot of points to be a fool. I've run double Scorpius. I've had turns where they do near nothing. And they're about this. But that's
Same
2
points.
of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's 2 of them. That's a bunch of shots. And when they do something, they can do a lot. I don't know if this will do a lot. Again, you'll remember the games where you hit someone's Lord of War and both shots hit and you got double explodes. So you did all this extra damage and you actually took it down with your D3s and all of that. But you're going to have other ones where you're going to fire at a Rhino and it's going to be fine. Or like, okay, your AP1, that's +2 on the damage table. And if you roll a 1 on the damage table, now it's a 3. You know? Like, there's always a chance, even then, when you get the pen. Let's say you're really likely to get through and get the pen, but then you roll a low die. +2 on the chart doesn't help if you roll really low. And there's always a chance. There's a lot of ways for it to unfortunately kind of fail for you. But it's super, super neat looking. I like it a little bit more than the base Malcador because it's kind of weird. All right, Dan.
You've been itching for
Cyclops.
this.
The Cyclops. All right, so do me a favor. Pull up real quick
I will do no such thing. No,
the Cyclops explosion while I read this, because that one I found once and then never again. So Cyclops demolition section is a cool 35 points. Only 35, baby. So you get 1 Cyclops and 1 Auxilia operator. Both are movement. Oh, let's talk about the Cyclops first. The Cyclops is weapon skill 1, strength 1, ballistic skill 1, toughness 5, 2 wounds. It is initiative 1, attacks 1, leadership 6, 3+ save. Don't worry about it. It's not going to last very long for very important reasons. The operator is a normal guardsman. Yep, doesn't get an extra attack.
He's normal with a 3-up save. That's the only thing that's different.
No, he's
4. Sorry, he's 4.
He's literally a normal guardsman. Yeah. So he's got void armor, a las pistol, and a detcon unit. Is that what it is? I think it's a detcon unit that makes it explode.
It's the remote control. They make go boom.
Okay. I just need you to pull up the strength and stuff. So anyway, unit type, the Cyclops
really
is infantry, it's automated artillery and heavy, and the operator is infantry heavy. They are independent operators, they are demolition vehicles, which is the Cyclops only. It is bulky 5, which is the Cyclops only. You could take a dedicated transport for each Cyclops in the unit. You could take a Norox transport, Arvis transport, or a Dracusin armored transport. If multiple dedicated transporters are selected as part of this unit, then they must all be of the same type and must form a single unit during play and may not operate separately as models. But you can take multiple, which is kind of cool.
That's so weird. Each Cyclops has to take its own transport.
Yes. Because they poop out of the transport. You could take 2 additional Cyclops for 35 points each. I think that's really it. All right, so let's talk about the explosion. Is it Detcon? I want to say it's Detcon unit.
The demolition vehicle.
The rule for the explosion is in demolition vehicle, page 131.
Right. That one I got. So find me Detcon unit, because then maybe I'm crazy. I thought it was Detcon.
That would be under war gear, sir.
All right, so let me read demolition vehicle then. So when a model with a special rule is called upon to make normal attacks during an assault, instead of rolling to hit as normal, it instead inflicts 1 automatic hit using the profile below on any one enemy model it is in base contact with, chosen by the player that controls the model with the special rule. Once this hit is resolved, the model with the special rule is automatically removed as a casualty. Of course, this model does not have any wounds to the assault that you're going to lose anyway. So it's a demo charge. It's range nothing because it's melee. Strength 10, AP 1, Armor Bane, Instant Death, Brutal 2. Yeah.
I think it's interesting that you get to pick the model specifically.
Yes.
Like it's that one. But only in base contact.
It would be garbage if you didn't.
Yeah. Did you find Detcon unit, by the way, or no?
Yeah. Basically, the Detcon unit, short version is the Cyclops doesn't just do its own thing. It needs to be instructed to do its own thing. So you can't charge with it unless you have a guy with the Detcon unit to tell it to go.
Got it.
It's like the super short version. Do you want me to dig into the actual rules, or
No.
is the short version sufficient?
No. If that's what it essentially does, that's enough.
Yeah, so you pick a Cyclops, say this Cyclops gets to do its thing. Yeah. Independent operators is another weird rule. Basically, what that one says is they don't have to maintain coherency. The Cyclops could drive off without the guys could walk off without the Cyclops, but they all deploy together. They have to deploy together.
The Aurochs, Arvis, and Draxons, none of them are assault vehicles, are they?
No.
Negative.
No.
Wait
The sad part is, yeah.
Wait, so the guys don't have to be near the Cyclops, but they need to tell it to do its job. So
yeah, so they all split off and form their own units,
okay,
and you have to remove all of them before they count as being destroyed.
Okay, all right.
Which means they have to individually shoot each guy with a remote controller in order to say they killed the unit.
So could my operator be like hanging out in a building, and he tells that Cyclops, "Hey, go hit that guy over there."
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's neat.
Can he be inside a tank and do that?
Let me check again.
It would depend on the exact wording.
Model with a Detcon is active player before turns are declared. You may target a friendly unit, compares a tire of Cyclops within line of sight. The targeted unit may declare charges normally, ignoring restrictions.
No, line of sight.
Line
you
of
need
sight.
to see him.
And you're inside a transport, so you're not on the board. Okay.
Yep.
Never mind.
This is good if you have other units that are also charging into things, because otherwise this thing will never make it, because you'll just get overwatched and die.
It's a way to get more Arvises on the table.
The sad part is, okay, what kills me is that actually it used to be a large blast. It used to be a large blast when it blew up, which was very interesting. I thought it was still a large blast. I didn't check this. I didn't really read Solar Auxilia. I got depressed after reading Battle Cannons. I thought it was still a large blast. I'm much less impressed.
So,
it's only 35 points.
Well,
I mean, I would say for 35 points, you take a few Cyclopes, I guess. That is the plural of Cyclops.
Yeah, but you only get 3, and it fills up a heavy
slot. But I mean, because my thought is, you can't just do one. You do one. Oh, wait, that thing is going to try to like instant death my Praetor. All right, I'm reacting. I'm going to shoot him. I'll probably take him out. But if you got a couple coming in, hey, they're going to make it. Or I guess you go your strength 10 with Armor Bane at AP1. Maybe you go and smack a vehicle that doesn't get defensive weapons against you, because you get an auto hit. Maybe something like that is an option. I don't think one does you any good, even for as cheap as it is. I guess it's a scare tactic.
10 points, you put it in an Arvis, and you just drop 3 Arvises down.
Yeah, but the problem is it can't assault out of the Arvis.
That's okay. It's the threat of an Arvis.
I will say that it will absolutely demolish Dreadnoughts and Leviathans, because it's brutal too, and each one is instant death. So
that's only D3 each, so it's not killing Leviathan, because it has 7 wounds.
No, but I'm saying is, he said if he took 3.
No,
he said if you took 2, if you took 3 of them, that's why. So
yeah.
But if you take 3, one's not making it in because I'm going to Overwatch him. He's gone. Now you got 2. I'm a 5 up. There's still a chance I save it. The D3s. I'm not saying it's bad for that, but they're not going to necessarily wreck all.
And it has to get to the make attack step of the combat. And
that is true as well.
That is true. It's initiative 1.
Yes, that's actually. I completely didn't even think of that aspect. Yeah, it's going to die first. You're taking this against.
It should have just been like if it dies, it blows up. Oh, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Solar Ox is already hurting as it is. Just let it blow up, for Christ's sake.
Because what makes it tough is you only get 3 heavy support, and we kind of some of the other options I feel like you kind of want / need. This is a cool, fun option. This is absolutely really neat. If I was running this, I wouldn't mind running a set and being like, this thing is going to be a problem if you don't deal with it. Or, hey, I got one of these. Are you going to like overwatch it? Because if you don't, he could just one shot whoever he wants.
Yeah.
Or, as a nice way to get my other unit in. So this other unit that I want to get in now isn't going to get shot. It is really neat and it's a cool fluff piece, but it's kind of tough to be able to take.
Yeah.
Does this current? Oh, there it is. Okay,
It's really small.
It's a super tiny version of all the rest of their tanks.
Yeah, it's a baby version.
Okay.
I'm just kind of sad because it used to be a large blast and it used to come out of a tank and blow up. It didn't need to assault.
They do show it coming out of a tank in one of the pictures. It's adorable.
Yeah.
It's a tank.
It used to literally come out of a
inside.
tank and blow up. It didn't need to assault. It didn't need to do any of that. It just blew up as a large blast.
You could take Dracosins for it, which lets you get more twin link, or rather Gravis las cannons. Haha. Yeah. It's cool. It's one of those, it's cool, and it's 35 points, so what the hell, why not?
Yeah. It's
although two of them, or
Yeah.
10 las gun guys, or las rifle guys. That's cool.
Yeah, but sooner or later, I'm just going to be tired of taking more people.
Fair.
There's only so many people I can fit on the board, or I want to move. My one list now already runs a bunch of infantry, and it annoys me with the amount of moving I have to do over time. This is absolutely an awesome choice. It's a lot of fun. If you happen to have a spare heavy slot, you can fit this in because it's like literally no points. But having a spare heavy slot is the big ask. When we do some list building, I'm gonna try to see what I can do with this, and it's gonna be stupid. I'm gonna love it, and I'll never build it because it's all resin. That thing. Oh, do we know anyone who has one of them? I'm curious. Is it a single piece of resin or is it 3 pieces of very tiny resin? I bet it's 3 pieces. It's probably the 2 sides in the middle. Actually, in that one back, looks like it's got some not quite smokestack looks to it. I bet that's a separate piece as well. I bet this thing is like 5 pieces of resin. Meanwhile, it's the size of my thumb. All right, why don't we get into some closing thoughts, starting with Steve, because that's who I said.
Sure.
Put people on the spot. That's what I like to do.
So at this point, we've finished up the heavy supports of them. Let's talk a little about last time, a little bit of today. From today's stuff, it's very clear the Vanquisher Cannon is what you're supposed to do on a Leman Russ Strike Squadron. Mm-hmm. And the Executioner Plasma Cannon are supposed to do on the Assault Squadron. And throwing in a command tank to take away Shrouded saves is an interesting option, but I don't know if it's worth 220 points. Moving on from the Leman Russes. The Rapier Batteries are a pretty solid option, and if you get them the Augury Scanners, either through a command section or from the Tarantulas, I think there's actually some interesting potential there to shore up one of the big weaknesses of the army, which is anti-tank and intercepting. So that's cool. Well, intercepting with quality shots. Most of the things are just laser, like tiny lasers. Getting able to intercept the las cannon battery is kind of interesting. It's also the anti-air that's not air, which is also kind of neat. Proxy-wise, you could probably replace the Tarantulas with those big field guns from the new Cadian set. However, they do have rules nowadays in the Auxilia list, so...
Militia.
Militia, yeah.
Yeah, militia.
I still don't think anyone's going to care.
Yeah. No, I don't either. The Malcadors, they're pretty, but I don't think they're going to do what you hope they do. Cyclops is funny. I still am really rooting for that Destroyer tank, though, from Legacies. I think that's a solid pick because the slow makes it durable, and it has its own pretty solid offensive output. So I'm going to keep rooting for it.
It is twin-linked, which I think is better. It's so difficult. Because I've had shots that miss, and I wish I had twin-linked, and then I've had shots that hit, but because they're lower strength, they don't do anything.
I mean, strength
it's
9,
such a
which is
weird
solid.
flip.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
I'll put it
Strength
this
9,
way:
but this,
you
but it's
don't
the
get
other
to.
one's
I'll put it this way: Sunder doesn't matter if you didn't hit in the first place. I know statistically it's
ordnance.
very similar, but you got to get to the penetration roll, and if you don't hit, what's it matter?
I know. It's one is Sunder, strength 9, but twin linked. The other is strength 10, not twin linked, but ordnance. And it's just
One's 50
I mean,
more points and less durable.
yeah.
That should solve it right there for you. The durability is a big deal.
Off of like just pure numbers for a moment, in general, twin linked with Sunder, that's twin linking both sides. That's stronger than only twin linking one side at one better strength in many cases.
Well, the Legacy's unit is not Sunder. It's Exoshock.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Looking through all of these heavies, both the ones we discussed as well as thinking a little about the other ones before. I think Leman Russes are a nice solid option. The Rapier batteries are great. You only get 3 choices of things anyway. Malcadors are fun, but I'm not too sure. Valdor is neat. I just like that one in general. I think it's overcosted, but I do like it in general. Cyclops are funny. I think you have good options here to be able to fill out your 3 choices. I think that you do need to me, if I'm building this list, Heavy's probably one of the last slots I go to. I reserve a set amount of points, but I probably go to that last because I got to look and see what do I really need. And realistically, what I need is the very high strength, very good AP shots because I'm lacking that in almost every other facet. So I'm looking at, like I said, Rapier batteries, potentially certain types of Leman Russ. The Valdor, you can make that argument for. I don't know. I guess I was never an Imperial Guard guy because when I go through all this, I'm not as excited as I would like to be about all of it. When we read through Space Marine stuff, I got excited about list building opportunities and thoughts. I'm still going to go through and build a list, and maybe when I do that, I'll get more excited. But just going through it, it doesn't. All of this so far hasn't really done that much for me personally. Maybe this is an army where we're about to find that like the Lords of War is like the bread and butter, and yeah, you're going to want to throw it in because you're going to kind of need it.
So I'm not going to spoil it.
You can spoil
no.
it.
No. There's one, and I'm going to tell you why. This is going to be slight. The one of them has the Warhound plasma blast cannon. So that's it's not 5. It's the 7-inch breach 4 strength 9. Give me a second. I have it right here. I was looking at it before. Here, yeah, strength 9, AP 3, breach 4, massive, 7-inch blast, 72 inches. The problem with the super heavies is they suffer from the same exact problem that all the other tanks suffer from. Nothing is AP 3. It's AP 4 basically.
All right. Okay, so I actually just to kind of go off to the side here for a moment, I just scrolled through the Legacies document, which I had to go into a backdoor to find because all the downloads when I put it, their website's messing up, so nothing showed up. But under fortifications, which we haven't discussed yet, they have the Solar Auxilia artillery battery for 120 points. It's a gunner and 5 gunners and a platform, and the platform has an Earthshaker cannon, and you can take additional batteries for 100 points a model.
See, that's maybe worth doing.
I think that's very worth doing.
Yeah, you could take. That's actually not bad.
That one better than the other Earthshakers for less than the cost of one Earthshaker in most of these other spots.
Yep,
and it uses with not a heavy support slot.
No, you're not using your fortification anyway. Otherwise,
exactly.
So
unless you want like a quad autocannon array, yeah, nah. That's actually playable.
They have a static type, which essentially when they're put down, they're like there. I haven't read through the whole thing, but it pretty much just sounds like, yeah, you can't run, can't charge, the platform doesn't move. Wherever you stick this thing, it's sitting. But you got an Earthshaker, you got 240 inches of range. You don't care where you're sitting. I like that. I think that, and if you got the spare points, taking an extra one, like I said, the Earthshaker
that's
gun,
fine.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
It's just expensive. 2 of them
it's
for
bad for the
220.
points.
Yeah, it was bad for the points, but now 220, I get 2 of these things, or I could take even more if you wanted. You could really load down. I don't necessarily need they need that much, or you can swap to the Medusa mortars for free as well. So now I think you actually have a decent option.
Yeah.
So if you really want those type of things, take the platform, take the artillery battery. I think that's a really good way to do it. All right. Yeah, I was just scrolling through and just noticed that after the Lords of War. So hey, man, now it really feels that they're super overcosted, those other ones.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for 20 extra points, you get 2 of them. Or 60, like 5 less points, you get 2 of them, depending on which heavy support you look at.
When we get to the Lords of War, it's just going to be so sad. I remember looking, although I will say the Hellhammer cannon, I remember being cool. The volcano cannon is a volcano cannon. You can't go wrong with that. And the plasma, but everything else was just, it was just.
Tell them.
Wait, tell me what volcano cannon?
Anything that's a Bane blade is horribly overpriced.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. No. Yeah.
Unless it's a militia army, but that's another day's discussion.
Yeah, that's another.
Yes.
Day. But
that's probably about another week from now. We'll start that.
Yeah. It's.
And then we could finally finish the Raven Guard. God, they've been waiting for so long.
Lol.
We'll do that one of these times when we're recording one of these episodes a little bit short. We'll splash that in real quick and then we'll release it separate. That'll be fast. All right. I think this way we don't belabor the points on these guys. I think that'll close us out for tonight. So on behalf of everyone here, we do thank you for listening. Remember, we put this out on every podcatcher you could ever find. If you find one where we're not, let me know. I'll make sure we show up there. We also put this and a variety of other content out on YouTube. For other things, like I said, we do have a Patreon. If you do like the content, you can absolutely consider subscribing to that. Like I said, we don't lock anything cool behind it, but we do like to put something there. I got to put some more announcements up there, especially when we get into summer and I have more time. I can start doing more with that. But it does help us out. Like I said, right now we're getting our recording costs covered, and that frees up money to do other things. That way we can do more with what it is that we want to do, because running a podcast actually does cost a bit of money, actually, when you put it all together. 4 things coming out, so you should be hearing this at the end of the week. There's some other things I'd like to get out this week. We have to see. My time's a little bit more available this week, so I might be able to. If not, very soon I'm off of work, and then I can do all kinds of stuff. Where are we going next, gentlemen? Are we doing Lords of War, or are we like... Okay.
We do Lords of War, yes, because they are good. Some of them are good, and then some of them are just...
Okay, so we'll go through Lords of War, and then I think, probably a separate thing we can. So maybe we'll try to do that,
and the
then
demon
we'll
rules
try
come out.
to do some list building for this, just to try to throw some actual lists together.
Yep, and then the demon rules come out, right?
No,
yeah.
No, it's not December yet.
Oh my god!
I think after this we'll probably try to get to Militia. That way we can talk about them, and then we can get back into Space Marine type things, other pieces. I'd like to do some more Conquest. Actually, I'm in talks with some other people maybe as well to help do Conquest, because I do want to talk about that more. I have some ideas for some solo stuff. I just have to actually stop grading at some point. And also, is it this weekend for the Warhammer weekend thing? Warhammer Fest? Yeah, that's this weekend.
I thought it was next week.
No, it's literally in 2 days.
Okay.
And
they have the
I'll
countdown.
be working in 2 days.
Well, it's weird when they're doing it. So if you pay for Warhammer Fest, 9 a.m. their time for 40K.
Oh shit!
Noon is small games. Sunday at their 2 p.m. is Horus Heresy in Old World.
Give me a second. I'm pulling up what is it? BST, right? Yeah,
BST. That should make it 8 a.m. for us, I believe. Am I correct?
Hold on. BST.
I wait for no man.
Yeah, well, apparently.
Only person I have to legally wait for is my wife.
Oh, no, what's the BST you said?
Ours?
No, what's the BST they give for the
2
first...
p.m.
2 p.m.? So 2 p.m. is 8 a.m. You're right.
All right.
And then wait, no, 9 a.m. Oh, I was looking at Warhammer 40K. So 9 a.m. is fuck you.
Wait, are you sure it's 9?
I'm looking at the thing. Click on the banner on the
Are
top.
you
The
looking at
Warhammer 40K.
what time did you put us in?
No. So no. You're not. So 9 a.m. their time for Warhammer 40K, right, on Saturday, is 3 in the morning for us. So
Okay.
no,
That's fine. I want to talk about for Heresy.
Heresy.
2 p.m. their time is what, 8
is
a.m. our time?
8 a.m. our time.
Okay. All right. I'll definitely be up for that.
What is noon? What's noon?
6.
It's 6 hours before.
Oh fuck.
So it's going to be 6 a.m.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, there's 6 hours different from EDT, which is the time we're in right now.
Yeah, I'm not going to stay until 3 a.m. for Warhammer 40,000.
I'm not going to stay up till 3 a.m., but I am going to get up for 8 a.m. for the Heresy one.
I'm up at that time anyway because that's when my kid wakes up. So
Yeah.
I'll put that on YouTube while I make her breakfast.
There you go. Oh yeah, because you would have to do that. Yeah, that makes sense.
Are we live streaming that one?
I'll say I don't have a child, so I'm fine doing that.
You guys can live stream. No, I wouldn't be able to.
If you want, Steve, we can. I'm
Do
fine
it
with
live
doing
stream.
Oh, that requires.
Put like a picture of a golden retriever up in my face. Epic. If it's epic, I'm going to lose my shit and lose my money.
That's all right.
I'm really hoping.
You know what though? It's safest for our listeners if it is epic because you won't be there to scream.
Very true.
That is true. But if it is, no, you know what's going to happen. If it is epic, I'm going to start getting messages about asking for what the Zoom ID is so you can join in, and you're just going to be standing in your kitchen just belting out how excited you are. And your kid's not going to know what to do with any of that information. That's what's going to happen. I know it now. I'm not going to stay up till 3 a.m. though for the Warhammer one. That's so early.
Or
Honestly,
late.
Yeah, no, for me that I guess for me that's late because though depending on the weekend, some days I don't go to bed till 2 anyway. But by the time it's over, that would be so late in the day. So I'm hoping who knows what they announce. They've been showing good stuff, but that's all right. I'm curious what they're going to do for Heresy. Because if they're giving it an hour for the 2, Heresy better not be like one book. Because if it's all Warhammer the Old World, that's interesting too. But I'm curious how they're splitting that hour. Assuming it's an hour. I assume it's an hour. I'm curious how they'll split that. All right. That belabors that. But like I say, if we're going to do that, we'll post up about that. All right. Well, on behalf of everyone here at the show, then have some good hobbying and some great gaming.